Hi friends, welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video where I am going to be going over just a really small kind of like preview of how I get ready for my unstuffings. So I have shared already that very briefly, but I write down all of my expenses. So I actually have these trackers from it's from the Etsy shop called Mindful Hustle Lab, and I just ended up printing these out for like a A6 size. So this was this particular week is from December 29th to the 4th. So I went ahead and already unstuffed this, and a video should be already up for these expenses, but pretty much I write down the description, so pretty much what or where I'm buying it from, the category, so whatever, envelope, wallet, or sinking fund, and then the amount. So I actually write the exact amount. I've been starting to do that because it just helps me, like when I'm going back in my expenses. Like usually, for example, like this Etsy order was $4.80. In the past, I would just round it up to $5, which, to be fair, I will round it up when I do my summary. But I like to just write down the actual, just like to the cents, just so that when I'm going back and checking transactions, I know exactly that this was accounted for, even if I did round it up to $5. Visually, it just helps me. So this was already cashed unstuffed. So I have a few expenses. I'm not going to deal with the expenses that you see below this line. I went pretty much a little crazy buying some stuff for my bedroom, and these expenses are coming out of like gift money. So I don't have that to kind of show. So we're gonna kind of ignore all these other expenses, and I will kind of just consolidate, or not consolidate, but I know that's the right word, but just kind of like, I'll get that figured out off camera. But I just wanted to show like a really small example of what I would do to kind of create my summary. So hopefully you guys can see this. But this is just an example of what I did last time, where I did my wallet expenses. I put down my categories where I actually spent. I didn't write, for example, toiletries, even though that's considered a wallet expense. I didn't have any expenses that went towards my toiletries this time around. I wrote down how much I spent, and then I wrote down what was in my wallet, and then obviously if I went over or if I still had money left over. And I just used a highlighter, like a pinkish highlighter, to mark where I had went over, and then green where I had money left over. Same thing with sinking funds. I just did not do the leftover side, because it's just not really something. I feel like my wallet category is more of where I am more concerned of having money left over or money over or whatever. So we're gonna actually do summary for this week, and I'm just gonna do it on the bottom here. So I just wanted to do, I have to unstuff this anyway, so I thought I would just kind of do like a video out of it. So from here, it is going to be, I always write the date, so it's usually the date after that, which starts on a Monday, and then this is the Sunday. So in my case, like I said, I'm doing this very more like with not that many expenses, but this would just be kind of the same way that you would do it if you had more. So for personal, I did not spend any money this time around, because I also know that I didn't have any. So eating, we did spend, and I'm looking here that I'm realizing I also went over. So eating, and I'm gonna go ahead and count that. So eating, I had two expenses, so $22.82 plus 16 plus, or $16.47, $39. I'm just gonna round that up to $40. And if I'm looking at above here, obviously I can grab my wallet as well. I actually went over, so I'm just gonna do that. I probably should just do that math. So 40 minus 23, that would get me in the negative 17. So I owe, in eating out, $17. I'm gonna just keep on going. Next would be gas, even though I put groceries, but technically the order I think is gas next. So gas, I spent $25.70. That's the only expense what I usually do. In this case, it's probably easier to do 25. In gas, I had 57. So 57 minus 25. I'll put a plus 32. So obviously this is, you don't have to do this exactly how I'm doing it, but just for the sake of showing you. So next is going to be groceries. So for groceries, I spent 34.15, as well as 31.28. So I'll do 65. So I'll round that to 65. We saw in my last video that I technically had 103 instead of 111. So I don't know if I had counted wrong for the wallet expense. So I'm just going to do 103 minus 65. So I'll have still, or she'll still have $38. So groceries is done. Eating out is done. For toiletries, I spent $5.71. In this case, it's probably easier to just do the $5. And then toiletries wasn't accounted for last time because I didn't spend anything in there. So we're just going to go ahead and I'll figure, like when I grab my wallet, we'll do that. I have a transaction here that I labeled as a gift, but it's not like an actual, like, it's not my sinking fund gift. It was more like my dad gave me money, so that's like, does that make, like, that's the gift, but it's not my sinking fund. So we're gonna ignore this expense for now, so we're just going to be doing the other expenses, which I have already here. So we're just dealing with wallet expenses in this video as an example, but if you had spent out of your sinking funds or any type of other binder, then obviously like we would account for those as well. But like I said, this video is a little bit more simpler how I do it. So like I said, personal had already got spent. Eating out, we're going to take all of this. So we have 23. So we owe $17, which I accounted for here. Groceries, yeah, I think gas is supposed to go first. Yeah, so let's do gas. Gas, we're gonna say that we spent 25. Oh, I do have a perfect. Okay, I didn't think I had a 5. Okay, so I have the 25. So in gas, we're gonna have money left over actually. So we have $32 left over. And I'm actually going to put this money to the side because I'm probably going to need that. For groceries, we spent 65. So 20, 40, do I have? No, I don't have enough ones. So 20, 40, 50, 60, 70. Let's just count it again. 20, 40, 50, 60, 70. And I can put all this down and grab this 5. And I'm just going to do a little swapping of bills here. So we're going to have, oh, actually, I forgot. These ones I should be putting towards my dollar challenge. Okay, so we're going to have, I pulled the one, so yeah, we'll have $35 left in groceries. Okay, and then in toiletries, this is where I also would have needed a 5. I'll just grab these 3s. So yeah, I only spent $5 there, but just for the sake of having change, I'll grab that. Okay, so then that is everything. So one thing that I did not do is add this up. So this gives you an idea of how much money you should have. So my total for these expenses was $135. I know that I owe $17. So I'm just gonna put, in this case I don't have change, I'm just gonna put 20. And that was from my gas, so that's like money that I had left over. Some people decide to roll over that money to just keep that going in that gas fund, or they will take it out and use it for like covering these kind of expenses. I don't always like to do that. I really kind of change it up, I guess. How depends on kind of like what are my goals. In these moments, like if I can go ahead and just cover an expense, I'll just cover the expense with money that I have left over. So we are going to, so this money here, we have a total of $15, and this will just be, I think I'm gonna just put this towards some other challenges. So I just realized that I mixed this money with money that I had from my previous unstuffing video. So technically if I would have not done that, I would have went ahead and counted what cash I had just taken out and made sure that it was at least $135. If you follow my channel, you know that I'm more concerned with having the first value, which would be like the $100. Obviously we want to have the full $135, but sometimes if I miss something, I'm more concerned that I'm not like so under that I don't even have the 100. So hopefully that makes sense. And obviously, like, please budget accordingly, and like as you know, everyone kind of does their budget a little bit different. So yeah, so that is essentially how I unstuff my expenses. If you're interested in watching or seeing more videos like this, a little bit more like informational, or you're just kind of curious about anything, please do leave it in a comment below. I do like to share my process and just how I do it. Doesn't mean that this is how you have to do it or how everyone does it. If you are familiar with the cash budgeting channels and just community, you know that we all do it very differently. Essentially, we're just trying to make sure that, you know, when we have an expense, we have money to cover it. And if you have money that's left over, sometimes that's a little bit of a help as well. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, make sure that you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.